When a woman forgets who she is, she doesn't just lose her value in front of a man, she loses it in front of herself. Self-respect is the foundation of how the world treats you, and when that foundation cracks, everything built on top of it begins to collapse. A woman teaches a man how to treat her not by her words, but by what she accepts, tolerates, and stays silent about. Silence becomes permission, excuses become patterns, and patterns become her reality. When she ignores disrespect because she fears losing him, she ends up losing herself. And when she loses herself, she loses the strongest negotiating power she has, her identity. A man reads your energy more than your words, and energy rooted in insecurity shows. A woman who knows her worth moves differently, speaks differently, neither of, and a man feels that presence. Self-respect is not loud or confrontational. It is calm, steady, and unshaken. It is the strength that allows you to walk away from what insults your soul without needing to justify it to anyone. It is the inner voice that says, "I deserve better," even when your heart tries to convince you to stay. Many women confuse tolerance with love, but tolerance of disrespect is self-betrayal. The love you give to a man should never be greater than the love you give to yourself. When a woman has strong boundaries, she is not rude, she is not difficult, she is not too much, she is rare. A man may resist these boundaries at first, but deep down, he respects the woman who knows what she stands for. Respect grows where standards are firm. The fastest way to kill your value is to accept behavior that goes against your worth. When you tolerate inconsistency, you signal that effort is optional. When you forgive repeated disrespect, you communicate that consequences don't exist. When you chase clarity from someone who enjoys your confusion, you show him he can control your emotions. A man learns your limits from what you enforce, not from what you say. If you keep giving chances without change, he learns he doesn't have to be better. If you keep shrinking yourself to fit his comfort, he learns he's bigger than your confidence. Your value in a man's eyes is tied to how much you value yourself in his presence. A woman who stands firmly on her standards appears powerful even without trying. Self-respect is magnetic. It pulls in the right people and pushes out the wrong ones automatically. When you walk with dignity, you don't need to explain why you deserve better. Your presence says it for you. Men are naturally drawn to women who don't bend their backbone to keep someone around. They admire the woman who is loving yet firm, soft yet strong, nurturing yet self-protective. A man may test you, intentionally or unintentionally, to see how you respond under pressure. Your response determines your value in his eyes. If you crumble, he sees someone easy to manipulate, but if you stay grounded, he sees someone he cannot afford to lose. A woman who respects herself becomes a woman he must rise to meet. The way you treat yourself becomes the blueprint for how a man treats you. Your standards create the environment he must step into. Your boundaries create the rules he must respect. Your self-love creates the level of love he must give. When your energy says, "I will not accept less," he either levels up or falls away. Both results benefit you. You were never meant to beg for love, chase respect, or negotiate your worth. Your identity is your power, and your power is what makes a man value you. When you carry yourself with certainty, you communicate that you are not afraid to lose someone who cannot see your worth. A woman who knows who she is becomes unforgettable, not because she tries to be, but because her presence demands it. Many women lose their value in front of men not because they lack love, but because they give it in places where it isn't earned, reciprocated, or respected. Overgiving feels like loyalty, but it is often a silent plea for validation. It is the belief that if you give more, he will finally see your worth, finally choose you, finally appreciate your sacrifice. But in reality, overgiving teaches a man to take you for granted. It teaches him that your time is always available, your energy always accessible, your heart always open, no matter how he treats you. When a woman pours endlessly into someone who gives little in return, she creates a relationship that is unbalanced from the beginning. And when the balance is gone, respect disappears next. Overgiving comes from a place of fear, fear of losing him, fear of being alone, fear that you are not enough unless you are constantly proving your worth. But the truth is this: anything forced loses value. Anything chased loses power. A woman who overextends herself becomes emotionally exhausted, mentally drained, and spiritually empty. She gives so much that she forgets she deserves to receive too. She forgets that love is a two-way exchange, not a one-sided effort. Men notice when a woman gives too much, and instead of appreciating it, many of them begin to rely on it, expect it, and eventually take advantage of it. The more she gives, the less he invests. The more she sacrifices, the less effort he feels required to make. That is how overgiving destroys her value. A woman who overgives trains a man to believe that she will stay no matter how little he gives back. She teaches him that her standards are flexible, her needs are negotiable, and her boundaries can be softened with the right words or the right excuses. Overgiving blinds her to red flags because she is too focused on giving, fixing, and proving herself. She convinces herself that if she just loves harder, he will finally change, but a man changes only when he respects the woman in front of him, not when he receives everything without earning it. When a woman gives too much, she unintentionally creates comfort without commitment, effort without intention, and presence without responsibility. That is why overgiving is not an act of love. It is an act of self-betrayal. A woman's value rises when she chooses balance, when she gives with wisdom instead of desperation, when she sets limits instead of pouring endlessly, when she allows a man to show effort instead of doing everything herself. Men respect what they work for, what they earn, what they contribute to. They do not respect what is handed to them on a silver platter without responsibility. When you stop overgiving, you allow him to invest, you allow him to step forward, you allow him to meet you halfway instead of dragging him toward the relationship. A healthy connection requires mutual effort, mutual intention, and mutual presence. When a woman stands firm in this truth, she becomes powerful in a man's eyes. Overgiving ends the moment a woman realizes that the love she pours into someone else must first exist within herself. You cannot expect a man to value your love if you use it to fill the emptiness you feel inside. You cannot expect him to prioritize you if you don't prioritize your own needs, your own peace, your own boundaries. A man respects a woman who is generous but not desperate, loving but not blind, giving but not depleted. When you stop overgiving, you return to yourself. You remember that you are not here to earn love by exhausting yourself. You are here to share love with someone who is willing to match your effort, honor your energy, and appreciate your heart. Emotional chaos is one of the quickest ways A woman loses her value in front of a man because it makes the relationship feel unstable, unpredictable, and mentally exhausting. A man may care deeply, but when he feels he is constantly walking on eggshells, his emotional walls begin to rise. Constant overthinking, questioning, suspicion, and dramatic reactions don't just create tension, they create emotional distance. Men don't run from love, they run from instability. They don't fear commitment, they fear losing their peace. When a woman's emotions swing rapidly, when her reactions are louder than her intentions, a man begins to retreat. Emotional chaos doesn't make her sound passionate, it makes her feel unsafe to him. Many women fall into emotional chaos without even realizing it. They may be acting from fear, from past wounds, from insecurities that were never healed, or from anxious attachment. But to a man, emotions he cannot understand or predict start to feel like pressure he cannot handle. He feels responsible for her happiness but powerless to provide it. He feels guilty for things he didn't do, blamed for feelings he didn't create, and overwhelmed by reactions he didn't expect. This emotional weight slowly drains him. A man wants peace more than perfection, and when a woman's emotional world becomes turbulent, he feels he is being pulled into a storm he didn't start. That's when he begins to pull away. Emotional chaos also destroys communication. Instead of talking to him, she reacts at him. Instead of explaining how she feels, she expects him to read her mind. Instead of expressing her needs with clarity, she communicates them through anger, silence, or emotional breakdowns. A man cannot respond to what he doesn't understand. When communication becomes emotional attacks, shutdowns, accusations, or dramatic interpretations, he stops listening. He stops opening up. He feels unsafe to share, unsafe to be vulnerable, unsafe to express his own emotions. And when emotional safety disappears, the relationship begins to suffocate under the weight of emotional noise. Chaos silences connection because connection cannot grow in a battlefield. A woman's calmness is not a weakness. It is a form of feminine power that draws a man closer. Calm does not mean emotionless. It means emotionally grounded. It means she processes before reacting, listens before assuming, and speaks before exploding. It means she knows how to regulate her emotions without needing constant reassurance. This kind of emotional strength creates stability, and stability creates attraction. Men feel safe with women who respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. They open up to women who remain composed rather than chaotic. They respect women who express their feelings with clarity rather than confusion. Calmness is magnetic because it brings peace into a man's life. Emotional maturity is the antidote to emotional chaos. It is the ability to recognize triggers, understand feelings, and communicate them clearly. It is choosing to respond from wisdom rather than wounds, from clarity rather than panic, from strength rather than insecurity. A woman becomes powerful when she learns how to master her emotions instead of letting her emotions master her. A man values a woman who knows how to handle conflict without destruction, stress without aggression, and disappointment without emotional collapse. She becomes a safe place, not a storm. She becomes a woman he can talk to, open up to, and trust with his heart. Emotional steadiness doesn't just raise her value, it makes her unforgettable because a peaceful woman is a rare woman. A woman loses her value the moment she begins to lose herself in a relationship because when her life revolves entirely around a man, she becomes less of the woman he originally admired. Her dreams shrink, her ambitions fade, and her passions are sidelined to make space for his world. Men are naturally drawn to women who have purpose and a life beyond the relationship, because it signals strength, independence, and self-respect. When a woman stops nurturing her own identity, she stops being magnetic. She begins to orbit his life instead of elevating her own, and in doing so, she loses the power that originally attracted him. Losing yourself signals to a man that your confidence and independence are negotiable, and negotiation reduces value. He may stay temporarily, but admiration diminishes quickly. The woman who remembers herself remains unforgettable because she operates from wholeness. Many women mistakenly believe that pleasing a man or accommodating his needs at all costs will secure his love, but this approach backfires. When she sacrifices her hobbies, friendships, and personal goals, she silently communicates that her life is not important. Men respect women who have standards, routines, and ambitions that are untouchable, not women who bend entirely to their comfort. Independence does not push a man away. It challenges him to rise, to match the energy, and to respect the woman standing before him. A woman who maintains her own identity becomes a source of inspiration and admiration. He sees that she is not dependent on him for fulfillment, and that independence strengthens his attraction. Women who lose themselves often replace self-love with people-pleasing, and that is a fast track to being undervalued. A strong sense of self gives a woman boundaries that are firm yet fair. She knows what she will accept and what she will not, and she structures her life around her values rather than around his whims. Men may test these boundaries, but they respect them because boundaries signal self-worth. When she continues her personal growth, friendships, and career ambitions, she demonstrates that she is not defined by the relationship, but by her identity. This sense of purpose is magnetic because it is rare. A man feels compelled to rise to her level rather than drag her down to his comfort zone. Losing yourself removes this rare energy and replaces it with dependence, neediness, and predictability. A woman who keeps her identity alive maintains mystery, confidence, and self-respect. Her value increases because she is not easily replaceable. Balancing love for a man with love for oneself is the key to sustaining value. Giving in a relationship should come from abundance, not desperation. When a woman invests in her own dreams, she invests in her happiness, her growth, and her confidence. A man notices when she radiates fulfillment that does not rely on him alone. He senses a woman who owns her time, her space, and her energy, and he feels respect, admiration, and attraction. Women who lose themselves often do so under the guise of love, but true love never requires erasure. Being yourself fully while loving someone else creates an equilibrium where respect thrives and attraction intensifies. She remains a whole person in his life, not an extension of it, and this distinction makes her invaluable. A woman who preserves her identity becomes more than a partner. She becomes a force of inspiration and stability. She teaches the man that relationships are not about consuming each other, but about complementing each other. He sees her dedication to her dreams, her friendships, and her self-respect, and he feels motivated to rise to meet her energy. Independence and purpose communicate that her worth is not negotiable, And this is profoundly attractive. Losing oneself for a man erodes value because it signals desperation and dependency, while maintaining oneself amplifies value because it signals strength, confidence, and rarity. A woman who stands tall in her identity becomes unforgettable because she is whole, powerful, and non-negotiable in her essence.